Summer 1943. Camp Crossville, Tennessee. A German prisoner stared at a bubbling brown drink he had never seen before. After 2 years in North Africa, living on hard biscuits and weak coffee, a cold Coca-Cola felt like magic made real. It cost 5 cents at the camp store, the same price guards said American kids paid with their pocket money. Across U.S. prison camps that summer, 371,683 German POWs faced a reality totally different from what Nazi propaganda had told them. They found a country where ice cream was a regular dessert, soft drinks were everyday treats, and candy bars were so common that guards sometimes gave them away. These simple foods, which many German children had never tasted, did what lectures could not. They chipped away at Nazi beliefs. Sugar, fizz, chocolate, and ice cream showed an industry so strong that German hardship looked less like noble sacrifice and more like needless suffering. What started as surprise at sweets turned into a deep change in thinking. The Desert Campaign ended with the Axis surrender in Tunisia in May 1943. Around 250,000 German and Italian soldiers were taken prisoner. They had helped push the British back to Egypt under Rommel and expected harsh treatment. Propaganda had told them Americans would be brutal and starve them. Instead, within hours, they received USK rations. American soldiers often complained about these, but to the prisoners, they were treasure. Crackers, processed cheese, candy, fruit bars, instant coffee, sugar tablets, and cigarettes. Men who had lived on tiny portions for months treated these as feasts. Records show the U.S. Army served pancakes with syrup, eggs, and milk at North African processing camps, foods that had disappeared from German rations years earlier. Feeding the enemy well started immediately, though people only later realized how powerful that was. A German officer later told the International Red Cross, "We expected starvation. Instead, the Americans fed us better than our own army." That confusion about American resources became the first lesson. Liberty ships carried POWs across the Atlantic in summer 1943. These mass-produced ships, one finished every 42 hours at the peak, brought up to 30,000 prisoners, a month to the U.S. naval records. Say prisoners ate as well as or better than the crew, about 3,500 calories a day, with fresh bread, meat, vegetables, and coffee with sugar and milk. Refrigeration kept food fresh during the crossing. Most surprising, ice cream was served on some voyages. The USS General M.B. Stewart's log from July 1943 notes ice cream on July 4th, made in a 10-gallon machine. For men who had not seen ice cream since before the war, eating it in the middle of the ocean made no sense, and that was the point. When ships docked at Norfolk and Newport News, prisoners saw an American Nazi propaganda had called weak and chaotic. Norfolk Naval Base, spread over 4,300 acres, moved more cargo in a day than major German ports did in a week. At port shops, shelves held candy bars from Hershey, Mars, and Nestle. Military purchase records from 1943 showed dozens of candy choices, usually 5 cents each, the same price across the country. Traveling inland by train brought more surprises. Unlike European cattle cars, POWs rode in passenger coaches. Dining cars served full meals. Menus from July 1943 showed fried chicken, vegetables, pie, and coffee. This was not special treatment. It was normal American rail service. U.S. prison camps were built above Geneva Convention standards. Camp Crossville, A typical large camp had electric lights, hot water, flush toilets, and heated barracks. But the biggest shock came in the camp stores. The PX. Army Quartermaster records show they stocked many soft drinks. Coca-Cola, Pepsi, Dr. Pepper, RC Cola, plus Candies, ice cream where freezers allowed, cigarettes, fresh fruit, snacks, and low-alcohol beer. Prisoners earned 80 cents a day for labor, later $1. With candy bars and Coca-Cola at 5 cents each, one day's pay could buy 16 items, an amount unthinkable in wartime Germany, where such goods were rare or required connections. Coca-Cola became a symbol of American industrial democracy. Company records show 5 billion bottles in 1943. The military promised 5-cent Coca-Cola to U.S. troops worldwide, a promise that demanded complex logistics. For prisoners, the drink, new to many, seemed to be everywhere. Camps got regular deliveries. Work teams saw vending machines at gas stations, factories, and schools. People of all ages drank it and sometimes left half a bottle. The taste was the same in Maine and Texas, proof of quality control beyond anything in Germany. Syrup from Atlanta went to bottlers across the country, a coordination that challenged the Nazi claim that America was disorganized. Company archives show many camps got 200 to 300 cases a week, 24 bottles per case. Camp Churn, Texas, drank about 7,000 bottles a week in summer 1943. Ice cream at camps shocked Germans who had not seen it for years. Army records show it was regularly served in summer where freezers existed. The military saw ice cream as vital for morale. So important they built ice cream ships for the Pacific. At Camp Shelby, Mississippi, on July 4th, 1943, prisoners watched hand-cranked freezers make gallons of ice cream. The easy use of ice in July and cream and sugar for a treat showed priorities Germans could not grasp. By 1944, many camps had electric ice cream makers. Flavors included chocolate, vanilla, strawberry, and butter pecan, more variety than German parlors before the war. Prisoners could buy bars and sandwiches for 10 cents or cups in many flavors. Larger camps ordered 50 to 100 gallons weekly in summer. Supplies varied by season and location, but the frozen treat had returned. For captives, sugar hit hardest. In Germany, sugar was tightly rationed. Civilians got 280 grams a month when they could get it. In American camps, bowls of sugar sat on mess hall tables. Quartermaster records from 1943 to 1945 show weekly deliveries of 100-pound sacks. Camp bakeries used sugar freely. Cakes, cookies, and pies were common. Coffee, tea, cereals, and desserts were sweetened without limits. At Camp Aliceville, Alabama, in August 1943, humid weather hardened several 100 pounds of sugar. Instead of steaming it to recover, staff threw it out and ordered more. German kitchen workers were upset by what felt like shocking waste. Chocolate told a similar story of democratic plenty. Hershey, Mars, and Nestlé made millions of bars monthly despite wartime limits. The U.S. military alone bought 380 million pounds of chocolate products during the war. Camp stores stocked many kinds: regular Hershey bars, Rations bars, and other chocolate candies for 5 to 10 cents. Americans had brand preferences and chose casually. Red Cross packages, given monthly, included chocolate or candy bars along with instant coffee, processed cheese, crackers, canned meat, cigarettes, and soap. These luxury items were on top of normal rations and far beyond what German civilians got as basics. Thanksgiving 1943 showed the scale of American holiday abundance. The purely American celebration displayed a national ability to coordinate consumption that dwarfed German efforts. Army records confirm all prison camps served a full Thanksgiving meal: roast turkey with stuffing, mashed potatoes and gravy, sweet potatoes, cranberry sauce, vegetables, pumpkin pie, coffee, and milk. Feeding turkeys to 425,000 POWs and millions of U.S. troops worldwide required huge organization. That German prisoners ate the same meal as American soldiers sent a clear message of equal treatment that cut against Nazi racial hierarchy. Christmas 1943 brought kindness from American civilians. Churches, civic groups, and individuals sent packages to German prisoners. The American Friends Service Committee alone delivered 50,000 Christmas parcels to enemy POWs. These often included homemade cookies, candy, toiletries, games, books, cigarettes, and writing supplies. Towns near camps added more. In Tonkawa, Oklahoma, locals brought homemade treats to Camp Tonkawa. In Hearne, Texas, church groups brought cookies and candy to Camp Hearne. Civilians with family members fighting against Germany still showed mercy to German prisoners. This challenged Nazi ideas at their core. It showed strength through kindness, not revenge. As the labor shortage grew, more prisoners worked outside camps and saw American food production up close. By 1944, about 100,000 POWs worked in fields and food plants and learned how abundance was made. In Michigan orchards, prisoners picked cherries for maraschino production, the bright cherries on ice cream sundaes. The volume was shocking. Tons from a single orchard just for garnish. At canneries, they watched quality control reject edible fruit for small flaws. Del Monte records from 1944 show around 15% of fruit was rejected for size or minor blemishes and sent to animal feed. Sugar beet plants in Colorado and Nebraska displayed mechanization beyond German levels. A single farm could produce more beets than whole German regions. Prisoners learned U.S. sugar from cane, and beets reached about 7 million tons a year, explaining the casual abundance they saw. Some prisoners working near schools witnessed early school lunch programs. Children received hot lunches with milk, protein, and vegetables. The National School Lunch Act would follow in 1946, but wartime programs already ran. The milk program especially impressed them. Many schools served fresh milk daily. Delivering milk to thousands of schools every day showed planning Germany could not match even for military supplies. Some school cafeterias sold ice cream. The idea that children could buy frozen desserts at school while German children faced shortages left a deep mark. Low-risk prisoners sometimes ate at American diners under guard. There they saw democratic abundance in action. Simple restaurants offered menus that would have seemed elite in Germany, yet anyone with modest money could order. Prices in 1944 showed hamburgers for 25 cents, Coca-Cola for 5 cents, pie slices for 15 cents, ice cream sundaes for 25 cents, and full dinner specials for 65 to 75 cents. Service was equal. Anyone could order anything. A factory worker and a bank president might sit side by side on counter stools, pay the same price, and be served by the same person. This challenged German class divisions. American publications added more proof. 1944 figures showed U.S. sugar at roughly 7 million tons. Chocolate and cocoa products, 380 million pounds for the military alone. Coca-Cola, 5 billion bottles in 1943. Ice cream, over 500 million gallons. Milk, 119 billion pounds. In Germany, at the same time, sugar was rationed, mostly from Beets. Chocolate was for the military first. Soft drinks were minimal. Ice cream was nearly non-existent. Milk was tightly rationed. These numbers, printed openly, showed U.S. wartime production was beyond Germany's peacetime peaks. By late 1944, many German POWs sent food packages to Germany instead of receiving them. Using camp wages, they bought chocolate bars, instant coffee, and canned goods to mail home. Red Cross records confirm around 11 million parcels sent by German prisoners during captivity, most with food. Families getting American goods from imprisoned relatives while starving in freedom undercut Nazi claims at home. American rationing showed the gap clearly. Americans moaned about limits, but their shortages were greater than German supplies. Sugar rationing at 2 pounds a month per person, more than tripled German allowances when available. American meat at 28 ounces a week per person exceeded what many Germans got in a month. Even rationed, Americans kept consumption. Germans thought impossible. The Office of Price Administration recorded about 74 pounds of sugar per person in 1944, despite rationing 10 times German consumption. Beyond Coca-Cola, POWs saw a whole soft drink industry. Pepsi, Dr. Pepper, RC Cola, Orange Crush, and many regional brands. The variety itself proved abundance in a competitive market, not a tightly controlled economy. Bottling plants worked in every major city. Technology for carbonation, bottling, capping, and labeling was standardized and efficient. Single plants produced millions of bottles a year. Distribution reached every small town, gas station, and grocery. By the end of the war, American soft drink output hit billions of bottles a year, dozens per person. That one industry exceeded entire German consumer sectors. Spring 1945 delivered the final blow. As U.S. forces advanced through Germany, POWs in America watched newsreels of GIS handing out chocolate and gum to German children. The children's happiness receiving American candy their own government could not provide finished the job. American troops even shared rations with survivors of concentration camps, showing humanity to those the German state had brutalized. Between 1945 and 1946, prisoners returned to a ruined homeland. Many had gained weight in U.S. captivity, while their families had lost weight from hunger. Their healthy bodies were proof of American plenty compared with German deprivation. Many carried final Red Cross parcels, chocolate, coffee, and canned food that became family treasures. Children who had forgotten chocolate tasted Hershey bars brought by fathers who had eaten ice cream regularly in prison camps. Former prisoners of war became unexpected supporters of the Marshall Plan. They had seen American wealth that did not require conquest. Their testimony that Americans could afford to rebuild their enemies helped Germany accept U.S. aid. They had learned that American power came from making things, not taking them. They had seen a society rich enough to waste food while fighting a global war. This model, creating value instead of seizing it, shaped West Germany's economic choices. The German economic miracle of the 1950s drew partly on lessons learned in American camps. Former POWs who had seen American factories, distribution systems, and consumer markets applied those lessons to rebuilding. They learned that mass production could make luxuries affordable. Standardization could deliver quality and efficiency. Wide consumer access could build political stability. Industrial democracy could outproduce authoritarian control. Lessons learned through Coca-Cola and ice cream influenced a generation of German business and political leaders. This transformation is recorded in quartermaster files, Red Cross reports, company records, especially in Coca-Cola's archives, POW letters, interviews, memoirs, and academic research, especially by historian Arnold Kramer. Kramer concluded that food abundance was central to changing minds. Casual American plenty did what formal re-education could not. It smashed myths of Nazi superiority. The numbers tell the story. Average POW consumption from 1943 to 1946. Daily calories, 3,300 to 3,600. Sugar, freely available. Meat, about 32 ounces weekly. Milk, about a quart daily, available. Ice cream, regularly in summer. Soft drinks, unlimited, at 5 cents each. German civilian rations at the same time. Daily calories, 1,200 to 1,500. Sugar, about 280 grams a month when available. Meat, around 10.5 ounces weekly, often unavailable. Milk, tightly rationed. Ice cream, none. Soft drinks, none. These were not propaganda lines. They were measured facts. Enemy prisoners ate better than German civilians. American abundance extended even to defeated foes. The POW's experience with American food culture shaped post-war Germany in visible ways. Coca-Cola returned to West Germany in 1949 as a symbol of alliance. Ice cream parlors modeled on American soda fountains opened in cities. Candy bars and chewing gum became signs of recovery. Former prisoners often became importers of American foods because they knew their appeal firsthand. These products meant more than taste. They meant abundance, democracy, and modernity. Former POWs also promoted supermarkets in the 1950s, having seen American grocery stores. They understood that to build democratic abundance, Germany needed new ways to distribute goods, not just to produce more. In interviews and memoirs, German POWs consistently called food abundance the key to their change. A former Africa Corps officer said in 1975, "We expected to beat a weak, divided America. Instead, we found a nation that could give ice cream to its enemies. That's when we knew we had lost more than a war." Another veteran said in a 1985 documentary, "My first Coca-Cola was like drinking the future. Sweet, fizzing, unnecessary, and available to anyone for a nickel. That drink contained everything Nazi Germany wasn't: abundant, democratic, joyful." These testimonies show that American food abundance did what military defeat alone could not. Men who arrived as Nazi soldiers left as witnesses to democratic prosperity. Historians view the German POW experience in America as a remarkably successful re-education through abundance, not lectures. It worked because it relied on seeing, not preaching. Prisoners watched a society run at full strength while treating enemies with dignity. Food mattered because hunger and satisfaction are universal. Weight gain and better health were visible. 3 meals a day plus canteen purchases made a daily lesson. Every Coca-Cola showed standardization and distribution. Every ice cream sundae showed abundance could be for everyone. Children of former prisoners grew up hearing about American abundance in the camps. At first, the stories sounded impossible. But as West Germany recovered and American products appeared, the stories proved true. supermarkets with long aisles and endless choice, soda fountains with sundaes, candy aisles with dozens of options. The impact reached beyond families. West German business culture absorbed lessons about consumer markets, quality, and open competition. The economic miracle was about more than making goods. It was about giving ordinary people access to plenty. Today, McDonald's has more than 1,000 restaurants in Germany. Coca-Cola is everywhere. Ice cream is ordinary. The shift from scarcity to abundance, started in American camps, is complete. The lesson remains powerful. Big changes can come from abundance, not deprivation. From kindness, not cruelty. From example, not propaganda. The German POW who could not believe ice cream and Coca-Cola in American prison camps saw democracy's quiet weapon. The ability to create so much that even enemies could share in it. This is one of history's strangest victories. A war partly won through generosity. An ideology weakened by ice cream. A worldview shaken by soft drinks. Transformation came not through punishment, but through plenty. Men who believed in German superiority and American weakness learned that American strength came from production so vast it could afford waste. A society that could sell Coca-Cola to prisoners for a nickel had power beyond guns. The ice cream sundae, with extra ice cream, syrup, whipped cream, nuts, and a cherry, became a symbol of American abundance. Each layer by itself exceeded wartime German dreams. Together, it was a routine luxury. That enemies could ask for seconds while German children went hungry showed the total collapse of Nazi claims. Former POWs often remembered one instant: the first fizz of Coke, the first spoon of ice cream, the first bite of a Hershey bar. These simple tastes were stronger than arguments. They tasted democracy, and it was sweet. The change was final. Men who had marched for the Reich returned as messengers of abundance, carrying the idea that prosperity grows from freedom, not conquest. They learned that America's real secret was not just military strength, but the ability to hand ice cream to enemies. In the end, bottles of Coca-Cola and bowls of ice cream in American prison camps did what armies could only try to do: change hearts and minds. The German prisoners who doubted such abundance existed became its most powerful witnesses. They carried home the truth that democracy could taste like chocolate and that freedom could fizz like carbonation. Their story reminds us that the greatest victories can come through showing, not destroying. Through giving, not taking. Through the simple act of serving ice cream to enemies on a hot summer day. Those who lived American abundance as prisoners became freedom's most unlikely ambassadors, forever changed by the impossible reality of Coca-Cola and ice cream in American prison camps.